story is going viral all over social media. A 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee was murdered on a train in Charlotte. They never had any prior interaction. I will say this. I'm already seeing this story transform, and many sides are taking their perspective. That's one way to keep us divided, but I want to make it very clear. I deeply send my condolences to the family and friends of this victim whose life was wrongly taken away from her. You have to be so careful out there, folks. Even when I'm taking the train or the bus, you got to be careful. So careful, but even careful isn't enough, and what happened to her is not right. So I'm just going to play this media segment.
It's 9:46 p.m. You'll notice right away, this looks like any other ride aboard the light rail. People are doing what they do these days, keeping to themselves, scrolling on their phones as they ride along. The man accused in the killing, DeCarlos Brown, is in the red hoodies on the right side of your screen. He appears to be maybe a little emotional, perhaps a little agitated, but nothing disruptive. There's nothing that gets anyone's attention. About 30 seconds later, Iryna Zarutska boards. She's wearing a hat and a t-shirt from a pizzeria, and she sits in the row in front of Brown. She has earbuds in and is looking at her phone. She too is just minding her own business. They ride along for around 4 minutes with nothing unusual happening. Then around 9:50 p.m., Brown reaches into a pocket. We've zoomed in on it here. He pulls out a pocket knife. No one notices a thing. Seconds later, he would stand up, and from behind, unprovoked, as we stop the video, he would stab the young woman several times. She had no chance to defend herself. The attack was over in seconds, and when it was over, Brown walked through the train attempting to get off. Few passengers, if any, at first realized what had happened until they noticed drops of blood on the floor. 90 seconds after the attack, a bystander rushes down to begin lending aid to Zarutska. She would die from her injuries. 30 seconds later, 9:52 p.m., 6 minutes into the video, Brown leaves the light rail. The video here shows us just how quickly things happened and how difficult it would have been to prevent once he got on the train. And that is an important part to all of this. From what we've been told, Brown never should have been on the train. Authorities tell WBTV he did not buy a ticket. CAT says it is working on ways to keep fare skippers off mass transit.
Again, beyond sad, but it's being heavily politicized on the left and on the right. And as the story continues to gain momentum, I want to be clear. There are some things that need to be addressed. The individual who did conduct the murder. I mean, look, the camera caught him. The camera caught him. All right. Obviously, there's going to be due process and legalities in there. But without a shadow of a doubt, he had the knife. We saw the action. This isn't open for debate about what he did. And clearly, she did nothing to agitate him. She did nothing except sit down, put her earphones in, look at her cell phone. You got to twist yourself into a pretzel to, and either that, go beyond being a pretzel to try and figure out how that's offensive. But then again, here we go. Another perfect distraction. And another way to divide us, too. Because now here we have Trump slams Ukrainian flag clowns. See, I always knew that this would happen, too. Because here we go. Donald Trump Jr. has criticized social media users who display the Ukrainian flag in their online profiles, but have remained silent about the recent killing of a young Ukrainian woman in North Carolina. Now, this young lady who left Ukraine after the escalation of the conflict in 2022 was fatally stabbed on August 22nd while riding a Charlotte light train. Surveillance footage released by the authorities over the weekend shows her being ambushed and brutally attacked from behind. Here is from what Donald Trump Jr. posted. Strangely, all the clowns with Ukrainian flags in their bio are also silent on this one. His post came in response to conservative political host Liz Willer, who shared a screenshot of a New York Times search for the victim's name. The search showed no results related to the 23-year-old's murder, in contrast to the thousands of articles published on George Floyd, whose 2020 deaths in police custody triggered nationwide unrest. President Donald Trump also addressed the killing in a statement on Truth Social, calling the video horrific and blaming Democrat leaders for enabling repeat offenders to remain on the streets through policies such as cashless bail. Now her blood is on the hands of the Democrats who refuse to put bad people in jail, he wrote. Also questioning why the mainstream media has been silent. Very questionable indeed. I also want to pull this up here as well.
Voters once they called attention to it.
So certain people have been looking for an opportunity to find a case like this, to make a point like this. I want to play, this is Charlie Kirk, why he says this has.
I also want to address this here too. Shout out to Huey. Boondocks is a great show. I refuse to acknowledge season 4, but that's just me. I don't know what season 4 was about, but that's just not my cup of tea. Season 1 and 2 are absolute power. But mental illness is a huge issue in the USA. Too many people are undiagnosed or untreated. And yes, that is a problem. And I feel that that's part of a plan. I feel that it is part of a plan, and it's designed that way because in Chicago, when our fantastic Mayor Rahm Emanuel, and then turned by proxy, Lori Lightfoot, and yes, hey, even Mayor 6.6%, Mayor Brandon Johnson, the mental health facilities shut down. First starting with Rahm, though, to be clear. And there are some problems. And I have seen those who are not mentally well, who clearly need help, need severe help, roaming around. And yes, being a nuisance and a threat to people too, unfortunately, as it is, because they do need help. But because of this, because of the actions of these politicians, it's all part of a plan. What, for control? For more surveillance? Make things crazier than they need to be? Unfortunately, people are not getting the aid that they need. And in turn, stuff like this happens.
Hasn't gotten a lot of attention.
A white Ukrainian refugee was murdered just because she was white. Everybody knows that, obviously. If a random white person simply walked up to and stabbed a nice, law-abiding black person for no reason, it would be an apocalyptically huge national story used to impose national sweeping political changes on the whole country. Instead, Megan Basham, no one seems to care when a white woman gets stabbed to the death.
Wow. He said white a lot.
Well, we are talking about it here, so I guess I don't think that's fair. Look, being in the system, because I have represented people who are mentally ill, and here's the balance. The balance is taking away people's freedom versus evaluating their mental illness. And New York City, there are a lot of programs for people who are mentally ill, but they have to want to be there.
Yeah, and it's
about forcing them to be there.
When you are mentally ill, you have a hard time knowing that you are mentally ill. But also, I mean, people like Charlie Kirk, Van, they've been looking for opportunities to make this some sort of like reciprocal George Floyd situation. And that's the part that I think he's almost giving away the game. And it's sad to see a lot of people going along with it.
You know, let me just say a couple of things. One is, what happened to that young woman was horrible. And it's everybody's nightmare. If you're in any public space, a subway, whatever, that something bad's going to happen to you or somebody you care about. So it does strike a chord. We don't know why that man did what he did. And for Charlie Kirk to say,
well, first of all, he did commit a crime and took that woman's life. All right. I don't care who you are, what generation you're part of, who you worship, the color of your skin, man or woman. You know, you just can't go around hurting people. All right. You just can't do that. That's definitely a no-no. All right. And sadly, you know, this did take place August 22nd. So this story wasn't on anyone's radar until just a few days ago. And see, stories like this are absolutely tragic. I only can imagine leaving a horrific war zone like what's happening in Ukraine, only then just for a few years later to have your life taken away from you as you're trying to go home, listening and watching on your cell phone, minding your own business. But this leads to another thing too, and that is a larger crackdown and also lack of real services. Yes, I know we do need to have social services and programs to help those that are mentally unwell. And that is a problem in this country. There are a lot of sick people out there, a lot of disturbed individuals out there who are not right in the head. There's nothing more that can be done. Now, no, this is not in Chicago. This is in Charlotte, everyone that's asking. But there are crimes that are happening here. And as Trump is pushing for the FBI, ICE, and National Guard to be deployed in major metropolitan cities, it looks like he's going to get his way. Regardless how you see it, it looks like there's going to be more people calling for this, because this is going to be one of those hypercharged stories as we end the year in which people are going to reference. It's a simple attack and divide as always, but the bigger issue is that there's a lack of real accountability that's been going on for decades. This young woman lost her life, and I am so sorry this happened to her. It's a brutal end that she did not deserve. No one deserves this. Yet here you have CNN pontificating not about the real issue, and that is mental health and, of course, criminality, because that's an issue too. But instead saying it's, the back and forth identity politics issue.
No, he did it because she's white, when there's no evidence of that. It's just pure race mongering, hate mongering. It's wrong. Then he says that if something like that had happened the other way, there would be sweeping changes imposed on society. Where is the George Floyd Policing Act? It didn't pass. Even when you had a white police officer murder a black man on live television, the whole world saw, there were no sweeping changes. In fact, not one law was passed at the federal level.
Yeah, but there was more increased funding. It did happen. I mean, there's stuff that did happen, Mr. Van Jones. There are things that did happen.
So that's I think that's an important thing to point out. The other thing is, you mentioned the thing about cashless bail. I think this is a big challenge that we have. Would you have felt better if there had been cash bail and the mom had come and...
I forgot about that. Hey, for you, Van.
I don't know anything about politics. I don't know anything about politics. I don't know anything about politics.
Sorry, I forgot that Coca-Cola classic.
Put down $1,000 to let him out. It's not about cashless bail or no cashless bail. It's about the fact that we don't know how to deal with people who are hurting in the way this man was hurting. Hurt people. What happened was horrible, but it becomes an opportunity for people to jump on bandwagon.
Okay, first of all, yes, there is a phrase, hurt people, but this man took a woman's life, okay? She sat in front of him. Well, not in front of him, but she sat in a seat in front of him, earpods in, cell phone in front of her, not saying anything, wearing a baseball cap, okay? That's it. Nothing else. Just got off work. You're kind of twisting things around here, buddy.
And then for someone like Charlie Kirk, he should be ashamed of himself. No one mentioned the word race, white, black, or anything except him. What people mention is the horror of what happened to this young woman.
And yes, of course, everyone, please, just a little bit of advice from old Kit Kat and Dr. Nick. Do not put your earplugs in, your earpods in, or your headphones on when you are on public transportation. Okay, that is just me saying that to you. Unrelated note, but yeah, you better not. Don't you do that. Even when things seem safe, don't you freaking do that. When I say keep your heads on a swivel, you keep your goddamn heads on a swivel. And hey, listen. To quote the great Alphonse Capone, always face the door and never have your back to anyone. Got it? That's what you need to do. This isn't a polite suggestion. It's a fact that is based on solid truth. And unfortunately, this young woman who was murdered, people are going to be referencing this. People are going to be looking at it. And this will give more fuel to Trump to doing more what he wants in these major metropolitan cities. And in these major metropolitan cities, many of these politicians, especially here in Chicago, had these lofty ideas. And I understand that there's problems with policing and the legal system. There's a lot. There's a lot that's wrong. But what has been laid down has opened up the floodgates for identity politics and for people to hate each other and for people to push back against each other. Hopefully, there will be justice. The person that took her life will be held accountable for his crimes.